I had a nice long break from the internet. I came back and I felt rejuvenated, refreshed, grounded, more peaceful, more hopeful, motivated. And then I opened TikTok. And the internet is still deeply unwell. So let's talk about glow ups, morning sheds, rage bait, and family vloggers profiting off their children's trauma and all the other annoying and downright problematic influencer trends of 2025. Thanks to Typology for sponsoring today's video. I have been living under a rock despite having done beauty content for the past 5 years. I finally tried their products and I fell in love with so many of them that I asked if they wanted to do a sponsorship and they said yes. If you don't know them, they're a French skincare company. They make vegan and cruelty-free products. All of their packaging is recycled and recyclable, which I really like. And everything is skincare forward. I've talked about their products on Instagram, totally unsponsored, and they didn't ask me to do that, so feel free to check out my Typology highlight on Instagram. But I really want to talk about my top 3 favorite products. The 9-ingredient face moisturizer is a holy grail, like will repurchase until they discontinue it type of product. I'm on a very strict Sophie Pavitt acne routine because I have super acne prone skin and I have to wear a lot of actives like chemical exfoliants and benzoyl peroxide every single night. There are very few moisturizers that don't irritate my skin when I have that level of actives on my face. This, not once has it irritated my skin. And it feels both rich and lightweight at the same time. Like I don't know what kind of witchcraft it is, but it comes out with kind of like a balmy texture. And so it feels really hydrating on the skin, but it's not overly dewy for my combination skin. And it somehow doesn't feel heavy. A product I thought I was gonna hate that I ended up falling in love with is the tinted serum. I'm not a tinted serum kind of girl. I have acne prone skin and I need a little bit of coverage. So I was really impressed by this. It has vitamin C, aloe vera, and squalane. It feels super lightweight and breathable, like you're not wearing anything, but it has coverage and it has buildable coverage at that. And most importantly for me, it actually has a natural finish, which is my favorite part. If you want it more glowy, you could mix in my next favorite, which are the glow drops. The glow drops have vitamin C and they're basically just like a liquid illuminator. So I have them on the tops of my cheekbones and the bridge of my nose today. You could mix it in with moisturizer for a more glowy look. You could mix it in with your body lotion for a little bit of glow. Typology is one of those brands where you see them sponsor a lot of people. And so I just thought, whatever, I'll skip it. And I'm kicking myself because this is one of the brands where the hype is actually real. And for 1 week after this video, you can get a free shimmering dry oil with any purchase over $40 by clicking the link in my description box. So I asked you on Instagram and YouTube, what were the most annoying and problematic influencer trends that you've seen in 2025? And I kind of took your answers and mixed some of them in with mine. This is the first video of mine in over a year and a half that isn't scripted. I've pulled myself out of my anxiety and depression hole. I'm now medicated and feeling great. So we're just gonna have a casual chat about these things, starting with glow up culture. Because apparently if you don't emerge from every life crisis with whiter teeth, 10 pounds lighter, and a whole new wardrobe, have you even healed? If you don't know what a glow up is, it's basically like a makeover on steroids. Not only are there changes in your appearance, but oftentimes it involves things like meditation and completely overhauling your lifestyle, and significant changes in your wardrobe and your confidence. But the issue here for me is that personal growth and true meaningful growth has just been completely hijacked by capitalism. Surprise!
I find glow up culture on here to be really frustrating because it feels like for a woman to have a glow up, she has to spend $800 at Sephora, drink 12 bathtubs full of water every day, go to a dermatologist and get tretinoin, go on hourly hot girl walks, heal her inner child, and start a gratitude journal. But for a guy to have a glow up, he just has to get a good haircut and start wearing pants that fit.
Personal growth used to be about self-discovery, reflection, and emotional maturity. But now this glow-up obsession has become all about, fake tan, fake hair, fake nails, and white teeth. So a glow-up really doesn't seem to be about self-improvement for me. It's more of a rebrand. And just to be clear, there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to improve the way that you look and wanting to be confident and wanting to express yourself authentically through your style. That's actually something I'm really working on right now. So I'm fully on board with self-discovery in that sense, but I just feel like it crosses a line. Perfectionism always means that we can be doing more and more and more, and we can be better and better and hotter, and rarely does it involve actually accepting ourselves for who we are. And I think that should be the most important part of personal growth or glow ups. And of course, this just reinforces superficial standards and conventional attractiveness. And the obsession with the pursuit of perfection can have real consequences. I mean, it can cause anxiety, depression, body dysmorphia, and really negative self-thoughts. And glow up culture also just promotes quick fixes over sustainable lifestyle changes. So it promotes things like, unnecessary cosmetic procedures, unsustainable diets and exercise routines, and prioritizes that over long-term health goals. The glow up narrative is sneaky because it pretends to be empowering, and it can be, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there are a lot of people on social media and TikTok that are actually talking about self-growth and discovery from a really thoughtful, introspective place, but those aren't the videos that are going viral. Those aren't the videos that are getting views, which means those aren't the videos that are really contributing to the narrative of this trend. To me, glow up culture doesn't say, I love myself now and I accept myself now. It says, I fixed who I was before to fit your standards, please validate me. And it not so subtly reinforces the idea that our worth only increases when we fit the algorithm's, standard of attractiveness. So when influencers say, this is your sign to glow up this year, what they really mean is this is your sign to go spend money on things that capitalism has convinced you are broken.
What have you bought this month because something you saw online made you think that that part of your body just isn't good enough anymore? See, glow up culture never rests because it needs us to believe that our body is the problem. And then it sells us the solution. Ozempic, sea moss, bone broth, $300 yoga set. While it's kind of motivating, it's actually just advertising done really well. So try to take back control. Next time you see one of these posts, look at it from a slightly different angle. Think, all right, who is actually benefiting from this post and how is it actually going to impact me?
And the line between glowing up and shrinking down, it's thin. Literally, because now I'm going to introduce you to the glow up culture's toxic little sister, SkinnyTok. I gotta buckle in for this one because I am pissed. If you don't know what SkinnyTok is, it is basically a corner of TikTok's most toxic algorithm where people share tips on how to be super, super skinny. And you guessed it, it's basically just ED culture wrapped up in a pretty little wellness bow.
The biggest thing is like the thigh gap.
Now here's the thing, my last video was all about the dangers of wellness influencers, and that's something I've been thinking a lot about, especially with RFK and the Make America Healthy Again movement. But unfortunately, my video was demonetized and age restricted, and its reach was suppressed. If you're wondering why I have to use the acronyms, that's why. SkinnyTok is basically just the modern big sister of 2014's pro-Anna Tumblr, but under the guise of, health and wellness, which makes me so mad because it's not even like screaming it. It's trying to be a lot more subtle about it. And that is more dangerous. Rather than Tumblr's thinspo, these SkinnyTok videos are wrapped up under, what I eat in a day videos where the creator conveniently skips lunch. And instead of trigger warnings, we get #wellness, #clean eating, #thatgirl. And somehow we're all supposed to believe that this isn't the same disordered rhetoric that we thought we evolved from a decade ago. And unlike the niche corners of Tumblr, this is worse because it's algorithm backed, and not just algorithm backed, TikTok algorithm backed. These videos rack up millions of views because they're designed to be addictive and controversial, which is the perfect storm for the algorithm. I lived through the 90s, which had the heroin chic trend, which seems to be popular again. And I lived through Y2K, where we had tabloids that would literally circle women's cellulite on the front cover, or put them against each other in hot or not competitions, or call a woman out for going to the beach and not being beach body ready and circling all the parts of her body that they thought needed to be changed. If you want a beach body, it's actually very simple. Have a body, go to the beach. The beauty standards are constantly changing. Right where you get to one point where you're happy, all of a sudden the goalpost moves and then you have to go chase the next trend. One influencer with 5 million followers recently confessed to being on GLP-1 while she was posting what I eat in a day videos and selling a macros 101 course for $200. One of her followers said, quote, "It's that she's selling a $200 course to people to help them lose weight when counting macros wasn't even enough for her to lose all that weight she wanted to. You're taking people's money, misleading them, and not being honest with yourself either," another commenter said. I do commend her for being honest, knowing that she was gonna get a lot of hate and, for offering a refund to anyone who bought the course. But if I were her follower, I would never trust her again. So at this point, if you've made it through SkinnyTok without throwing your phone out of the window in a fit of rage, congrats, your reward is a skincare routine that smells like beef. Beef tallow has become TikTok's latest miracle product, with influencers claiming that it's the secret to clear, glowing skin. Supposedly it's all natural, it's ancestral, what our great-grandmothers used, as if the historical lack of moisturizer was a beauty ideal instead of just a lack of access.
I'm actually not against beef tallow as a skincare ingredient, as a skincare product. It's just that it's literally a version of Vaseline. It's a version of shea butter. These are all versions of either occlusives or oils that mimic your skin. It is not revolutionary. It is not new. If you have acne, I would tread so lightly.
But the thing is, this isn't even about skin health. This is about the aesthetic of doing something rustic, that brings you back to nature, that feels traditional, which is something that we always see when there's this conservative push during economic uncertainty. I'll get into that in another video if you want, but really that's what it is. It's not about skincare. It's not about health. It's about being alternative and rebelling against the status quo, kind of the same vibe as drinking raw milk or rejecting sunscreen despite what dermatologists say. Dermatologists say that it is comedogenic, which means it clogs your pores. So if you have acne-prone skin, forget about it. Then there's the ethical angle. If we have access to affordable, effective, plant-based skincare, why are we going back to animal products? And it's not like there's even any evidence that says animal fat is better than, you know, plant-based moisturizers. The push for beef tallow feels like nostalgia for an idealized version of the past that never actually worked. Like a lot of viral wellness trends, this one spreads because it looks good on camera. It's got that aesthetic with the mason jar, and it feels earthy and wholesome and back to nature. But beneath the aesthetic is just another round of misinformation dressed up as self-care.
I don't know when beef tallow became the conservative coconut oil, but it's here. And I think the people who are using it because they're afraid of chemicals in their skincare. But here's the thing. Here's the composition of beef tallow when you actually look at the fatty acids in the product. And if a lot of the beef tallow fanatics saw this on ingredient list, they would be terrified because it looks very chemically. But everything is a chemical. And here's the thing. If you want to batter yourself up in beef fat, go for it. Do whatever you want. But that beef fat is also fully made of chemicals, like all the stuff that you're so afraid of.
Speaking of self-care, the next one is the morning shed trend. If you don't know what a morning shed is, it's basically a routine where people, usually women, will cover every inch of their face in, you know, beauty products and then remove them in the morning to wake up beautiful. It usually involves women sleeping in bonnets, pimple patches, mouth tape, nose strips, silicone wrinkle strips, silk wraps, chin straps, castor oil packs, and sleep masks. And then they peel them all off in the morning to reveal a fully formed hot girl, like a little TikTok chrysalis. It's kind of funny, kind of self-deprecating, kind of relatable, but also kind of depressing. It's the quiet acknowledgement that this is what it takes. This is the invisible labor of looking effortless. The morning shed is parody rooted in truth that now people are taking seriously as a beauty routine. It really shows how much prep, gear, money, time, effort, and strategy goes into waking up hot. Not for fun, but for basic survival under the male gaze. It flips the script on I woke up like this and says, no, I did not wake up like this. I woke up like a sea creature in a science experiment, and I had to reverse engineer my face back into public form. It's a little bit self-aware, but it also reinforces that a woman's default state must be corrected, and that even something like rest has to be dedicated to beauty. The morning shed is a joke, but the punchline is that beauty's a full-time job. And it's the pressure to appear effortlessly attractive without ever acknowledging the work that goes into it. And then there's the darker side of influencer culture. Family vlogging, where your privacy becomes a content strategy and your childhood trauma is a brand. Family channels market themselves as wholesome, relatable, faith or values driven, but we're not talking about like birthdays and just family trips to Disney here. We're talking about kids growing up with a camera in their face where they can't really understand what's going on and they can't consent to it, with their trauma being monetized and their worst moments being turned into clickbait thumbnails. And this content lives online forever in front of millions of strangers where the kids really can't consent to it. Take the Frankie family, whose quote-unquote parenting content masked years of horrific abuse. Or the LeBrants, who staged their daughter's medical scare for views, complete with slow-mo and dramatic music. These aren't isolated incidents. These are symptoms of a model where the more emotional the footage, the better it performs. And the parents definitely understand that.
I don't know the family you're referring to, but I want to make it clear that there is no genuinely wholesome family vlogging content. Cambridge Dictionary defines wholesome as good for you and likely to improve your life, either physically, morally, or emotionally. Family vlogging at its core is exploitative. You cannot take away a child's right to privacy and informed consent and digital safety and call it wholesome. It is not wholesome for parents to profit off of the labor or actual existence of their children. It is not wholesome that these children have no protection under the law for their privacy or their labor or the income they are generating for their family. It's not wholesome for parents to allow strangers to develop parasocial relationships with their children. It's not wholesome for parents to narrate the story of their children's life without their knowledge or consent, leaving them with a lengthy digital footprint that will follow them for the rest of their lives. And it's definitely not wholesome where some of these images and videos end up.
The problem is simple. There are no real protections for children in influencer households. Traditional child labor laws didn't account for Instagram or TikTok or a YouTube channel that doubles as a digital diary that you didn't consent to. And this is why legislation matters. The Child Content Creator Rights Act is an amendment to the Coogan Law, which originally protected child actors by requiring a portion of their earnings be held in trust. This update aims to do the same thing for kids in family vlogs so that their work, and yes, being filmed constantly is work, isn't just lining their parents' pockets. And recently there's been a lot of speculation that popular family vloggers have been moving out of California because of this law. As Taylor Lorenz points out, the problem with this amendment though is that it only applies to any money that's made directly on the platform. That would be like the TikTok Creator Fund, or in the case of YouTube, Google AdSense. It's a teeny tiny portion of an influencer's revenue, and it's also not really enforceable. Obviously, no one has admitted to leaving California for this reason, but it could be a part of it. Take the LeBrands, for example. They have over 20 million followers on 2 of their platforms alone. So while something like Google AdSense might be a very small portion of their income, it's still not a small amount of income. It's more money than most of us could ever dream of. So family vlogging is not harmless memory making. It's a business model that treats children as property, not people. And I think this is a moment where we have to turn the camera on ourselves a little bit here and think about the content that we consume and how we're complicit in turning a child's childhood into entertainment. Another trend a lot of you submitted was girl math, or I'm just a girl. If you aren't familiar, girl math is basically a financial coping mechanism to justify purchases. So like if you returned something, you made money, or if you bought a coffee with cash, then it was free.
Oh my god, sis, I think I figured it out. You know why us girls have a shopping problem? It's because us females do maths differently than the male species. If I pay for something in cash, it feels like I got it for free because it didn't reduce my bank balance. Girl math.
It's supposed to be a lighthearted and relatable joke because I think we've all done that. Like, we don't actually think that. And also, I would never post a video of myself talking about girl math online because that would just open me up not only to criticism, but to just reinforcing the stereotype that women are bad at math, which is not true, or that women are bad at managing money, which is also not true.
Let me tell you why the new girl math trend is actually harmful. Well, first of all, it perpetuates negative stereotypes about girls doing math by making it a joke or a mockery and making it look like girls are bad at math. What's boy math? Opening spreadsheets and doing finance? Do I laugh at some of the girl math stuff and totally relate to it? Yes, absolutely. But the harmful part of it here is that we're using the word girl as a proxy for bad math or silly math or illogical math, and we're just making a mockery of girls doing math, and that is not okay with me.
It really just continues this internalized shame around money because society says be budget conscious, but always look polished and perfect and presentable and never age. Invest in yourself, but don't be high maintenance or look like you're trying too hard. Girl math is just a coping mechanism for navigating a system where we're expected to spend money and feel guilty about it. Oh, but if a man buys $800 golf clubs, it's a productive and healthy hobby. And that's the problem. We are the joke, we are the punchline, and we are the ones who are perpetuating it. I actually saw something the other day that pissed me off. It was a brand that was justifying consumers spending money on their product because they were having a big sale and they called it girl math, that it was basically free. And I'm so mad that I didn't screenshot the ad because I went back to try to find it and I couldn't. But like, the fact that now brands are trying to double down on this stereotype, give me a break. The next trend is preventative Botox, or just the obsession with Botox in general. And with preventative Botox, it's ridiculous because it's convincing you that you need to fix something that isn't even a problem yet. Like, how crazy is that? Not that wrinkles are a problem, but you know what I mean. As someone who's gotten Botox a few times and can see what it can do and what it cannot do, you do not need to waste your money on Botox before you even have lines. I've gotten Botox probably maybe 5 times at this point in my life, and I'm 35. Let me tell you, I got Botox 5 weeks ago and I looked fresh as hell for a few weeks, and now 5 weeks later, look, all that is back. Bitch, that ain't worth the money. Are you kidding me? In this economy? No. According to the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, Botox injections have increased 28% since 2010 amongst 20 to 29-year-olds. And the thing is, the earlier you start, the earlier you're just gonna get addicted to the way that it looks, and you're gonna spend all that money and have to do all that maintenance. And it's just really not worth it because once you get lines, even if they're pretty deep, Botox can pretty much erase them.
Here's why I don't recommend it. You may not move those muscles that much, and you may end up spending tons of money for lines that actually won't form that much or won't be that deep. And in 20 years, they may not even bother you. So if you have lines now, or they are starting to bother you, sure, go ahead. It's not a necessity, but there's a solution. But if you're doing it just for the sake of prevention, I don't recommend it.
And the thing is, Botox can actually make you look older if you do too much of it. When we age, our muscles weaken and our skin becomes thinner and looser. So if you get too much Botox, you start to look older because the muscles atrophy over time. That's why they always recommend not getting Botox like right after it wears off. And if you get too much Botox, other muscles in your face will start overcompensating for the Botox muscles being frozen. And then you start to get wrinkles in places you didn't even know you could get wrinkles, like in the top of your nose. And if you've ever seen a picture of heavily Botoxed women crying, you know what I'm talking about. So if you don't even have lines yet, don't worry. Don't waste your money. Focus on hydration, a little exfoliation, moisturizer, daily sunscreen, and throw in a retinol if you want. Boom. So yes, preventative Botox can slow down wrinkles from forming on your face, but at what cost? Literally. The next one I'm just throwing in, not because I agree with it, but because it was the #1 most ranted about trend across Instagram and YouTube, and it's nail tapping. If you don't know what I'm talking about, basically influencers, tap on skincare products and they do this kind of like chaotic tapping thing, but it's supposed to mimic the style of ASMR, which I love. And I actually been thinking about making a separate video of this about how influencers will take something as inspiration and then just completely destroy it and make it like shit. Listen, I love nail tapping, but only from ASMR creators. I love nail tapping on a little wooden box, a little rhinestone hairbrush, or nail tapping on a piece of beeswax. I love that one. But influencers are so aggressive with it. They'll be like, I can't really do it because I play guitar, so I keep my nails like super short, but you get the idea. They're just so aggressive with it. They see something that's trending and they go, ooh, I can capitalize on those views. And then they just completely kill it and now everybody hates it. So those are all the trends that I thought about for this video, but I wanted to go through some of the other ones that you guys submitted and just kind of give my rapid fire responses. Okay, starting with you need this and I'm obsessed. There are just so many social media creators over the years that I've followed on Instagram and like we've become mutuals. And then as soon as I see that language, I'm out the door, can't handle it. I don't want that in my little algorithm bubble. But I didn't include them because I've already actually done videos on them and I'll leave them linked in the description box. The next one's rage bait, and I've already talked a little bit about this, I think, in my hate watching video, so I'll leave that linked in the description box. But I also hate rage bait, mostly because I'm super gullible and I take people at their word and, I will take people literally. That's probably the autism speaking, but boo rage bait. A lot of people said they thought declutters were problematic. I had never really thought of it that way. And then when I saw some of your comments explaining why, it makes sense. Basically, it sounds like you were saying people would either declutter like a lot of smaller, affordable or indie brands and then just keep the high-end stuff. Or it seemed like people were doing a lot of declutters to then justify huge hauls. The thing is, for me, they are so incredibly wasteful. And that's why I got to the point in my channel when I was doing beauty content, I was getting so much PR and I didn't want any of it. Like, I like to keep my makeup in a little IKEA Alex drawer thing, and everything has to fit perfectly neatly side by side and be color coded and arranged by finish. Also, probably the autism. So early on in my channel, I was doing a lot of declutters, but everything was having to go in the trash because you can't give someone a used product. You certainly cannot donate any products to shelters that have been opened. And that made me feel disgusting and guilty. So then I started being ruthless as soon as I received PR. And if it was a product that I really wanted to review or I really thought would fit myself, then I would open it and try it. And then any product that I did not think I would like would immediately go into a pile. And for years now, I've been sending all of that PR to followers every other month. So I found a really good system about it, but I will tell you, most people don't do that. Okay, the next one is flutters under the face. Hand flutters under the face. Oh, is that this? Like my 10-step skincare routine. Yeah. I get that. That could be annoying. And this is actually something that's really interesting to me. There is data showing that you get better viewer retention if you talk a lot with your hands. As a content creator, you do things that will help your channel. And whether people subconsciously know this or not, moving your hands around and being really animated is what gets you better views. So maybe that's why people do this. Maybe it's just, the kind of trendy little movement of the day. Who knows? But the next one is problematic, and that's undisclosed ads. And yeah, I've talked about that many times before, and it really bothers me because it's not hard to do. I just don't see the point in trying to trick people. Like, it doesn't make sense. I know that every time I post a sponsorship, it's gonna piss some people off. No matter what I do, no matter how much research I've done to make sure that the company is as ethical as possible and aligns with my values and my audience's values as much as possible, it is going to piss people off no matter what. But for me, content creators are posting free content and free entertainment. And so I think sponsorships are a great way to keep that going, just treat it like a commercial if it's not for you, or if you don't trust the person, obviously. But if you're not disclosing the ads properly, that is absolutely shameful and ridiculous. And I wish the FTC were better about enforcing that, because then more people would do it. But frankly, they know that they can get away with it, and so they just don't disclose them. The next one's unrealistic morning routines, which I've also talked about in a previous video. I'll leave linked below. But I think the 2 key points I always want people to remember about influencer morning routines is, number 1, they don't even do that every day. Number 2, that's their job. They're not filming these morning routines and then going to work. The filming is their work. So they get to have these lavish, extended, super intricate morning routines because they don't have anything else to do after that. Okay, the next one is when they say, oh my God, do you see this on an average blush? I'm so guilty of this. I've totally done this before. So for me, you know, sometimes I'll be like applying a lip gloss and I'll want you to see how it smooths over lip lines. And I just can't tell because I'm so far away in the viewfinder. I can't tell if you can see it. And so the phrase, like, can you see that? Do you see that? It kind of just slips out. I'm definitely guilty of that. But I understand that 9 out of 10 times, no, you can't see it, and people are filming from too far away. Also, massive PR unboxings and hauls. Yep, totally agree. Overconsumption is just ridiculous. I'm at the point though where I don't even get any of that content on my algorithms because I have just like blocked all of that, but I have discussed overconsumption and PR hauls and all of that in previous videos. Ooh, the next one, also guilty, exaggerated thumbnails. I took my channel last year from 20K followers now to 90K followers, and the only strategy that I changed besides switching to commentary was my title and thumbnail strategy. We do all this A/B testing when we post to see what thumbnails people are clicking on. 9 out of 10 times they're clicking on the one with the most clickbaity title, the most clickbaity face. That's the audience behavior. And even though conceptually I hate that, I do find myself clicking on those flashy thumbnails when I'm like sitting down at the end of the night and I'm in my bed and I'm just like scrolling and I want to come across a channel I've never heard of before. I'll click on something that looks a little wild.
Okay, I just made myself cringe so hard. I feel like that was the me version of, I actually do cuss a little. Love to click on those wild thumbnails.
I'm gonna wrap the next few together. Clean beauty, using fear mongering to sell products, and castor oil. So all 3 of those things I talked about in my most recent video, which was the dangers of wellness influencers. And I really rip into them. So if you wanna hear all of my thoughts on clean beauty and fear mongering and all that, go watch that video. The next one's restocking videos. And I can't say that I really ever see this content on any of my algorithms, but I do know what you're talking about. And it does just continue to promote overconsumption. I used to be the kind of person who, when sales would happen with, you know, beauty companies, I would stock up and I would make sure, okay, well, I can get the deal now and I can stock up on all this skincare. And then I just realized that all my cabinets were super cluttered, and I'm the kind of person who likes having a neat and tidy space. And I realized, like, I don't have to stock up. It doesn't even feel like saving money at all. So what's the purpose? That is clearly just a stupid content thing. The next one is kids doing huge skincare routines. Yeah, this one just really bums me out. And I'm just like, where are the parents? Kids' skin is really sensitive and like they don't really need anything other than a moisturizer and hopefully a sunscreen. That one's a real bummer. The next one's brand trips. I've talked about that one before, so I'll link a video below. The next one's the normalization of plastic surgery. I've also done so many videos about that, so I'll leave them linked below. Okay, the next one is closing down the kitchen at night or a Sunday reset. It's cleaning, y'all. Okay, basically this is just naming things that don't need to be named because people are just trying to like romanticize them and kind of monetize them. Totally agree that it's annoying. I hate when someone has blue nail polish on and they say like blueberry nails, or a celebrity dyes their hair like slightly darker blonde and suddenly it's like dirty chai hair. I hate that. It's annoying, but it's not harming anyone, so whatever. Although maybe it is harming people because maybe it convinces you that you need to keep doing another trend and doing another trend and spending that money and always upgrading. And maybe that's also a byproduct of capitalism and overconsumption. So you're right, it is harming people. Next one. The next one's, I'll try it so you don't have to. Okay, thoughts on this? I actually used to do that, and that was like the whole point of my channel for a long time. I would do these huge deep dives that would be like over an hour long. I would buy like 54 lip balms and try them all out. And my goal was to do that so that then people wouldn't have to go out and spend the money themselves. I was like, okay, if I can be one really good resource for people, maybe that will help consumers. And it did help some people. A lot of people told me that it helped them to save a lot of money. However, no matter what, I always got a lot of hate comments on those videos from people being like, oh my God, this girl's the definition of capitalism. And that's one of the reasons I stopped doing the beauty videos, is because no matter how thoughtfully I tried to do it, it didn't matter. And it was still contributing to the problem. And now I feel like I can kind of talk about something that can help a little bit more. The next one is what I eat in a day videos. Yeah, I think that's wrapped up into all of the ED culture that we've been talking about. And I think for me, with what I eat in a day videos, you either get someone who is clearly showing off how little they eat, or you get someone trying to flex on how unhealthy their diet is. And that's also not healthy. And I feel like you really can't win, because no matter what, someone will find something wrong with what you're eating. And I don't know, I feel like some people have good intentions around it, but ultimately it is the type of content that I find generally problematic. And generally the people who do them are not eating much. That's it for today's video. I hope you liked it. I've been super out of touch with everything in social media and pop culture because I took like 6 weeks off of social media, except for to post on Instagram occasionally. And I now am so out of touch, I don't even have any video ideas. So if there's a topic you want me to cover, let me know in the comment section and I'll add it to a list. I hope you like this one. If you have any other trends to add, I do these videos every few months, so let me know what else you have to add in the comment section. I'm looking forward to all your comments. I feel like you guys are just always so wise and thoughtful, and I really enjoy seeing you talk to each other and kind of like spitball off each other and, you know, talk about ideas and your own experiences. So thank you for being part of the community. I really appreciate all of you, and I'll see you in the next one.